What's up? Welcome to my channel, as they say. Many people who see this will be people who already know who I am, but there are going to be some that have no idea who in the world I am and probably don't care. But in any case, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Patricia, or Trisha, or Trish, and I'm a former sergeant of the Baltimore City Police Department. I was with the department for 12 years, and it could be the most glorious place at times, but it could also be the most vicious place at times, like a cat. It looks so cute and friendly, and you go to pet it, and it turns on its side and lets you rub its belly, and it's purring and enjoying the attention, and then suddenly it scratches you. That's BPD. BPD's like that. We have kind of a love-hate relationship. Let's just say it like that. And I've been talking a lot about the hate part for quite some time, and I do certainly have my issues with them. And the people that know me know exactly what they are. I have made that very clear repeatedly. But I do want to talk about the love part as well, because there's a lot about my career that I enjoyed, and a lot of good memories I have, and a lot of crazy stories I or anyone who has worked for that place could tell. So I don't want that aspect to get lost in the shuffle just because I have my gripes with the department. So on that note, we're going to start out with a crazy story. Once upon a time in the Northeast District of the Baltimore City Police Department's Patrol Division, I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed rookie. I graduated from the police academy in November of 2008, and I was assigned to the Northeast District midnight shift, and I had an insane amount of fun there. I remember being so excited to work even weekend nights because I knew me and my squad were going to have so much fun. So in September 2009, I only had about 10 months on the street. On the morning of Wednesday, September 23rd, around 0600, we had been at work for about 9 hours. We worked 10-hour shifts at the time, so we had come in at 2100 the night before, and we're getting off at 0700. The air was pretty quiet overall, and there wasn't much going on in my sector, Sector 2. So the whole squad was kind of just chilling in the 2400 block of East Northern Parkway because there was a disabled vehicle that one of my side partners was getting towed, and every cop knows how it is. We're just biding our time, waiting for that last 45 minutes to creep by, praying that nothing crazy erupted on air so we could all get off on time. The tow truck had gotten there and it was very loud, so we could barely even hear each other talk, but a call started coming out on the air around 0609, if I recall correctly, which I couldn't really hear, but it was being dispatched to the unit who was towing the car, and it was a mental case call. I know it's called something more PC now, like a behavioral crisis or something, but back then it was a mental case. The call details that I didn't hear, but I found out after the fact, were that the caller said he wanted to kill himself, but he didn't know how, and he had asked for his mother and a clergy member. I was assigned as the backup unit, but the whole squad was going regardless. It was right down the street at the what was it, the Wellington Gate Apartments, I think it was called, off of Laurelton Avenue. But the actual address was 2400 Bridgehampton. And Wellington Gate was or is, I guess it's still there, a huge apartment complex with all these courts and streets. And I wasn't really that familiar with it because it wasn't my post. So I put the address into my little ancient BlackBerry phone's rudimentary GPS, but it didn't recognize Bridgehampton, so I was just hoping somebody else would know where it was. But nobody did. We got to the complex together as a squad, but then we all split up and started roaming around separately trying to locate Bridgehampton on our own. And this went on for several minutes until I happened to spy a medic unit. Typically, paramedic units were dispatched in conjunction with the police for mental cases, so I figured Aha, this must be it. I pulled up and got out, and it was literally just so I could see the address on the building to confirm I was at the right 20 and then try to guide my side partners to me. It was still dark outside at that time of the morning, which probably would have been close to 0620 at that point, so I couldn't see the numbers. I surely wasn't about to go into a mental case by myself unless it was necessary. I never played the brash superhero as a cop. If I could wait for units, I waited. If I couldn't, I couldn't. There were times I was by myself and I couldn't wait, and I have a few good stories I could tell to that end, but otherwise, I was in the habit of standing by for more units. The medics were headed in, though. Good for them. I was just trying to make sure I was at the right address. And I had barely gotten to do that before the door to the building burst open, and a guy ran out of the building shouting, "Kill me, kill me, kill me." And he had something in his hand that he was grasping and holding up over his head like it's a knife. The medic started running, and the guy spotted me and made a beeline straight for me. Great. He wasn't quite running, but he was more like a moderate jog, and he continuously screamed to kill him as he approached. Apparently, I got on the air and briefly screamed something. I don't remember doing that, but that's what I was told after the fact. But I drew my gun and I started backing up and yelling at him to put it down, drop it, put it down, drop it, repeatedly. Put it down, drop it. And for the record, I did not have a taser, just to clarify. He gave 0 Fs about any of my commands and continued closing in on me. I knew I was probably going to have to end up firing, but in terms of my backdrop, it was pretty terrible. I would be firing towards an apartment building full of people, and the medics were somewhere in play in the background as well. So logistically, I let him get pretty close to me, probably way closer than I needed to, and that another person who was more confident in their shot would have done, but I just didn't want to risk missing and creating a stray bullet. I've always been a decent shot. I've never had any problems qualifying at the range or anything like that, but I wasn't exactly a marksman. So this guy was about 10 to 12 feet away, I would estimate, when I fired my first round at him, and it hit him perfectly center mass. And I know that because I saw the blood start spreading through his shirt. Did he drop like a stone? No. When the public likes to spout their non-expert opinions about police shootings and what officers should have and could have done in any incident, they clearly get their impression of what shootings are like from TV shows and movies. We know this. I personally have been schooled in the Twitter Police Academy many times over by people who clearly don't know what they're talking about and probably have never even touched a gun in their lives, much less have shot someone. So what happened after this person was shot directly in the chest with a .40 caliber hollow point round was that he flinched, and that's it. And he kept coming at me. It was like shooting Michael Myers. Then I double tapped him. For all cops who see this, I know I was supposed to double tap initially. Again, my backdrop was completely unfavorable, and I didn't want 2 rounds instead of just 1 flying off into the ether if I missed him. But I double tapped him the second time, and I'm not even sure where or if my rounds hit him. I'm confident they did because he was way too close for me to miss, but he still didn't drop. Adrenaline is something else, isn't it? Now, during all this, I was unaware that one of my side partners had pulled up just as this was all kicking off, and I was actually standing on my left. I had tunnel vision, of course, like they teach you at the range. My brain shut down all non-essential sight and sound to focus on my threat. So I had no idea another officer was even on scene until he actually fired a round that ended up dropping this guy. And I turned to him like, "Oh, when did you get here?" We put the shots fired alert on the air, of course. And of course, this would happen right at the cusp of shift change. Leave it to me. So there was either a very abbreviated roll call or no morning roll call at all because everyone had to hit the street quickly at that point. The guy was still alive, but he was incapacitated, definitely, and he had dropped his weapon and was rolling around on the ground still uttering "kill me." He literally never stopped saying it. I looked over at the object and could tell immediately that it was not a knife, but I couldn't quite tell what it was from the distance I was at. So when I got closer, I thought it might be a garden trowel. And I thought to myself, okay, we're good. That could still be considered a weapon. But it wasn't a garden trowel either. It turned out to be this. Yes, a spatula. And it looked exactly like that. Um, so that's when it occurred to me that we might be getting fired. We were both probationary officers still because we had less than a year out of the academy and we had just shot someone armed with a spatula. Why didn't we get fired though? The simple answer is because there was a crazed individual running at us with an unknown object in his hand that we believed was a weapon. He was gripping it like someone would grip a knife, but there was no real way to tell what it was. But whatever he was holding it in a way that was very aggressive, refusing multiple commands to drop it, and he kept advancing on me despite my desperate attempt to create distance. And thus, I was legitimately in fear for my life. But I realized the phrase "I was in fear for my life" has been used in a mocking sense by the public since it's standardized legal police jargon to imply that it's just rhetoric that police use as an excuse for using deadly force against people. And I guess it does sound a little robotic, and that's where the disconnect comes in. So let me say it another way that may be more understandable for the average bear. I was scared like an MFer that this guy was about to effing kill me. There we go. That sounds good. That's about right. Um, A homicide detective later told me, and this was long after it had been settled and closed, like a year later, but he told me that I had backed up about 25 feet. BPD homicide is on their game. They're meticulous. They measured from my original position, which was just a little ahead of my patrol car, because I had just gotten out of it and was standing just in front of it, to where the shooting occurred, which was some distance behind my patrol car, since I basically did a backwards jog trying to keep this dude at bay. So I did do my damnedest to try to de-escalate. It just doesn't always work, and that's a fact. I thought we'd at least be suspended, but I guess we weren't because there was no questionable element to the shooting that warranted that even from the outset. But we were placed on administrative leave pending psychological evaluations. I got mine done within the next week, and I went back to work October 1st. And that was that. Nowadays at BPD, I don't think you could come back that fast, and I probably shouldn't have myself. But now I think you have to at least go through a range situational debrief and training or something like that. And I think that's sound practice. I didn't get any of that, but they just didn't do that back then. When me and my buddy went downtown that morning to participate in all the preliminary investigative protocol, the FOP was there with us and they gave us some wellness advice as to just go home and try to relax and don't look at media coverage of the incident or Google anything about it. I went home and looked at media coverage and Googled things about it. I saw a news segment where they were interviewing a guy who lived in a building and he said he heard "get down, get down, get down," and then gunshots, and that's exactly what happened. And I was glad that there was another witness besides the medics, of course, who could corroborate that that's exactly what happened. And that made me feel less anxious because I kind of doubted myself somewhat, I guess. My Google research got worse though, because a thread popped up from a discussion forum on ar15.com of all places, where the title of the thread, as I recall, was "Two Baltimore police PUESs, if you understand the word I mean, with badges shot a guy with a spatula," or something like that. And I mean, yes, it sounds stupid when you say it like that, like we knew it was a spatula from the get-go or something. The comments went either way on that thread, but the more ridiculous critical one I read was someone asking why we didn't just simply use a pair of binoculars to identify what was in his hand. Oh wow, why didn't I think of that? Within the 10 seconds this occurred in, with binoculars I did not have, and even if I did, why would I be jumping out of my car with a pair of binoculars? And that's when I understood why the FOP told us not to look up anything about it. They were right, but I'm hard at it. But having shot someone with a spatula, however justified it may have been, the roasting from fellow cops began immediately. Once me and my side partner got back to the Northeast from downtown later that very morning, we went to talk to whoever the shift commander was for the day shift. And the lieutenant was working, and he was sitting at his desk, and as soon as we walked in his office, he threw his hands up, and he happened to be holding car keys in one. He said, "Don't you guys, they're just keys, hardy har." But okay, that was kind of funny. Maybe a little too soon, but that's just how cops are. I got everything from, oh, what did he fix your pancakes wrong, to being deemed Chef Boyardee by people in homicide. And that went on for a while. I was transporting a witness down there once, way after this, and someone was like, "Oh, what's up, Chef Boyardee?" Hardy har, once again. Cops are the worst, but that's why I love them. As to the guy who got shot, he survived, and within some months, officer buddies of mine were back at his apartment to EP him again. Gee, what's wrong with that picture? And just for FYI purposes, for any unfamiliar party, EP stands for Emergency Petition, which is a psych hold, basically. It's going to be called something different in different jurisdictions, but that's what it is in Maryland. In any case, the fact that this gentleman was being EP'd by police within months of my incident is troubling to me, because you would think that a person who pointedly tried to commit suicide by cop and almost succeeded would be subject to some type of long-term psychiatric care. Not set loose while he's still mentally unwell, only to again prompt police contact that risks the same exact scenario repeating itself, which is dangerous to everyone. Him, obviously, the police too. I mean, what if he had tried to actually kill an officer the next time to make sure the job got done? Innocent bystanders as well. I mean, I was shooting up a damn apartment complex at 6 a.m. This was an absolutely unsafe scenario for everybody. The police often get castigated for similar incidents where they're put in the unfortunate position of having to resort to the use of deadly force on an obviously mentally unwell subject. But the fact is that many of those people have had, likely have had prior and repeated contact with a mental health care system that is overburdened, and thus seems to operate like a revolving door for people that need serious intervention to prevent incidents like mine and many others from happening. And I say revolving door because on 414 posts in the Great Northeast District of Baltimore City, I had a few frequent flyers, as they say, and many BPD officers know how that goes. As soon as I heard certain addresses come out, I already knew the deal. I'm about to be taking an EP excursion to Union Memorial Hospital for this week. And then it'll be next week. And then it'll be the week after that for the same person. Defund the police has become an umbrella term of sorts that encompasses everything from a more benevolent attitude of simply thinking that there are other social systems that are better suited to handle some of the situations that have somehow fallen to police, to the more radical antagonistic sense, of course, of abolish the police, ACAB. But in all cases, I wouldn't even say it's a matter of defunding the police in the sense of, if we fund this thing more, we'll need less police. But rather, the existing police that will still be necessary will be able to focus their attention elsewhere to more essential police functions. Fighting crime and targeting actual criminals. In any case, I do believe that better funding for mental health treatment and promoting a more robust mental health care system would most likely, in the long run, limit the number of repeat contacts that police have to have with mentally unwell individuals, which in turn limits the chances that one of those contacts will escalate to a critical incident. And to drive this point home, as well for the purposes of entertainment, I'm going to give you an authentic example from my own illustrious career with my own personal BWC before there was BWC.
You won't know his name though.
Okay.
For coming to my house with no papers for my arrest.
Well, the papers are right here, and it's not for an arrest.
I'm not for this for.
It's
what you got me handcuffs for then?
Emergency evaluation, sir.
Yeah, what you got me handcuffs for then?
Because that's the procedure.
Not for no warrant.
It's okay. All right.
No, I just got out of the hospital. They just released me from the hospital.
You already explained this.
Yeah, well, we're gonna find out because I'm having you in court. Okay. You hear me? For false arrest and false identification and no warrant for my arrest.
Okay.
Now, can't nobody put me in the hospital if I'm living by myself. in a room. All right, you gonna find out. Yeah, you better put it on record on your little cell phone, because I'm sure enough gonna have you in court.
Okay.
Now, you watch me. I'm gonna show you who my father is. You gonna definitely know who he is here, and that's no bullshit. Now.
Investigate 2502 and a half South Tower. 10-4-2-2. LE22. Unknown trouble 4437-249 Bel Air South Tower. 10-4 and 32. 911 5259 Moravia South Tower. 10-4.
When you gonna take these handcuffs off me, because they hurt my wrist.
After the nurse sees you.
Well, when the nurse will see me.
I don't know, sir. I don't run the hospital.
Yeah, well, I'm ready for the nurse to see me. I told you I need some water. And then you gave me the
They will
water
call your
here.
name when they are ready for you, sir.
Well, let me sit out there.
No, you can't sit out there.
Well, why I gotta sit there?
Because that's where they want us to
I
sit.
want somebody to see me.
Okay, they're going to see you in a second. They know you're here.
I want some people to look at me.
Okay, but they already know you're here. I gave you your paperwork, so...
Nah, yeah, I want some people to see me.
Okay, they're going to see you.
Because I'm getting cold
Okay.
in here. And all this still around me. I don't need all this still around me.
Okay.
I definitely don't need all this still around me. Because
Okay.
it's hurting my head.
Okay.
No.
The steel
Yeah,
is
these
hurting.
handcuffs hurting my hands.
The steel is hurting your head.
Yeah, no, that's right, the steel is hurting my head because it's coming off there on these handcuffs, and these handcuffs hurting my wrist.
Gotcha.
Now, shit, you gonna got me shit. No, because I'm definitely gonna file a lawsuit against you
Okay.
for coming to arrest me here with no papers to sign and nothing. Just gonna tell me come on out and put handcuffs on me.
Okay.
Yeah, but you definitely, I don't care about you holding no fucking gun. You see my Superman shirt? Yeah, we definitely gonna know who my father is here. Yeah, but you definitely gonna know who he is. Because I'm definitely gonna bring him down here. Now, you think I don't know where he's at. I just left this hospital. Now,
Well, yeah.
and damn sure can get here again. No, because it's right here on my ankle. No, better. And that, my cat will get me here. No, his right eye. Now, you watch him get me here. I'm definitely gonna file a lawsuit. Don't try to hit my right hand, my left hand. And shit, fuck her. No,
They get there.
that's what I said. No. You watch. You definitely don't know you messing with girl. And you poodle ain't got no right eye.
That's the F stand for.
You definitely don't know you messing with. No. You better it. And shit, bad. I damn sure see no wings on your ass. You very damn sure got it. No.
Union Memorial, sweet memories. And did you notice what he said a couple of times? I mean, besides that he's going to sue me and have me in court. I just got out of the hospital. Imagine that. Anyway, this has been real. I think you're supposed to say like, subscribe, comment. So yeah, do all that or don't, whatever. But stay tuned. Signing off for now, Chef Boyardee. And you know what? Screw y'all for that. And yeah, it was funny. And that's what I miss about that place. Bye.